Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and CA keeps churning out these videos. I have not seen this much content come out for a game beforehand. This is crazy stuff. Anyways, this video is going to be the campaign walkthrough of the Vampire Count. So they're going to go through a whole bunch of different things, and I'm just going to wrap it all up in one video where we tear it apart bit by bit as always. So I have to say I'm very impressed with, again, the campaign map aesthetics, the mechanics for the Vampire Counts. Each one of these, if you were to watch back to back the different campaign videos for the different factions, you would see just how different each one plays. They all have their unique mechanics, and like I said, we'll be getting into this, but truly impressive. So here they kind of set the stage. This is kind of, I think, 150 or so turns into the game. The Vampire Counts still have a small area here, and they're kind of at an uneasy peace with the Dwarves against some highly aggressive Greenskins to the south, some Chaos Warriors to the north, and so there is this kind of interesting peace going on here. They talk a bit about diplomacy. What I decided to do is just pause the screen here so we can take a look a bit at the relations. So most of the things driving the positive relations are going to be military actions against the Greenskins. So good to see that the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of mentality plays out here. And then also the treaties with the dwarf pops up to 62. They did also say in a previous video that the vampiric kind of corruption that you can spread, even if you're spreading it intentionally to an ally, it actually does not reflect poorly on the relations bar. So you can kind of, and you can see there Zufbar was at 20%. So that's kind of a cool underhanded mechanic that they allow you to get away with. So you foster good relations with someone while at the same time kind of softening them up with vampiric corruption until you want to stab them in the back. So that's really cool. There's also chaos corruption that you have to deal with. So this can be something that erodes some of your city bonuses here. So in this case, chaos corruption is at 8%, and you can try and beat this back with something called osmosis. That's kind of weird. Technologies, characters, local populace, buildings, and commandments, and then events. So events, they're made it positive. So some events, like maybe a chaos storm, will cause chaos corruption universally to increase, or perhaps having chaos armies nearby or next door pushes that up. And that osmosis one is a very interesting mechanic. I wonder how that works. Obviously, the principal osmosis is going to be diffusion of molecules from area of relative high concentration to low concentration. So I wonder if that's kind of a natural balancing of or a pushback between different corruption values for chaos and vampiric. Anyways, here we get to see one of the devastated cities up close, where chaos presumably has taken it over. I don't know exactly what this portal is. I assume this is, well, the emblem here shows that it's a completely demolished structure, but I wonder if chaos specifically, if it demolishes a structure, if this building turns into something special for chaos with the portal right there. Is it specifically corrupted and it allows for a gate for units to be recruited? I really wonder what that mechanic is going to be like. Keep in mind they have not told us much about that. And then here I just highlighted this settlement under siege. It has 9 turns remaining. It has supplies lasting up to 4 turns. I can't remember in the past if we had supplies being there for how long you could hold up before attrition kicks in, but I'm just again highlighting all the little details as we run into them. The landscape has been absolutely just marred by the chaos forces, and over here in the chaos waste we see for the first time some of the chaos hordes up here. Archon the Ever-Chosen is going to be one of the end game events, so he's all the way up through here, a hero with and you'll see later there are campaign objectives that populate around his appearance that say, take this guy out. And he has this massive army. On the left, there is this army with noodly-looking appendages there. And they said this is a tentacular chaos army with very nasty units in it. So that's very interesting to think that there are special effects around a force here that has some, and they didn't click on the army, notice, so they're hiding something there. I wonder what special units Chaos is going to have there, but I really hope they go overboard with these Chaos type forces. That'll be really cool, and really make Chaos feel like an endgame threat that's bearing down on you. Over here we do see one of the Chaos armies moving forward. This is going to be an enemy exalted hero, Hargroth Manticore, and he has a modifier here that does -7 to province public order. So that's an additional thing that perhaps is unique to Chaos, or agents in general, is the fact that as they move into your provinces, it discourages your population. So that's another way for Chaos to kind of unbalance the forces. we're going to be panning around the map again. It looks just so beautiful. But here they pop open some of the campaign objectives. I thought this was really neat. We'll take a look on the far right very quickly. So the quest, Chaos Tomb Blades, you're going to be having a lot of these quests populated over time. Missions, Fresh Corpses Approach, and then Kill the Emperor's Chosen in 8 turns. So I assume the Emperor's Chosen is going to be a Chaos agent that it wants you to kill. The campaign victory mechanics for the short term, seize 12 provinces, destroy the empire, and then it actually asks for you to repel all Chaos armies and push them back to the Chaos Wastes. That's a very specific mechanic that I love how they represented that as a mechanic, beat back Chaos. And then the last one is here, Wound Archon, the Ever-Chosen, that you have to rally your forces and try and beat back Chaos. I'm really glad they represented that as a mechanic. It ties in well to the lore. Now, the long campaign victories here are going to be essentially what we saw previously for the short one, but then on top of that, destroy the following factions. No indication of economic victory or anything like that. It just seems to be focused solely around war. Here we're going to pause on the character menu. We get to see one of the characters that is wounded. You can check it out on this menu, and it says how many turns until they're available. You'll notice that some of the characters are kind of linked to others. My thinking on that is it probably just means that it's an agent that is embedded in a character that's leading an army, and that would make sense because those kind of parent characters like Manfred von Karstein on the right there have a unit number next to them. So I think my hypothesis there makes sense. Next, they show us a bit of the building slots and then the units that you can recruit from them. Recall that a lot of the vampires here are going to be recruiting from, instead of a barracks, they're going to be recruiting for a cemetery. And then I wanted to just pull out a couple of the different buildings here and analyze them. So on the top, most of your recruitment facilities are going to be Ancient Armories, Vampire Crypts, Lodestone of Darkness, things like that. These allow you to have, some of them have income, some of them have experience, some of them unlocked agents, and you can get cool stuff like a Vargulf or a Terrorgeist. So very interesting, the differences between obviously the factions. Then on the right, I really like this building chain, the different types of well, now we're moving on. I guess I mistimed that. But anyways, that previous one was talking about the different types of wineries, but corrupted wineries you could get. This important one that I wanted to cover is going to be the White King and the Vampires. These are two different agents. I just want to put them up here so we can look at them. So the White King here, he can do training for the troops, so almost acting like a hero. He can inspire the population. He can assault units. I wonder what assault units means. My guess is that he can specifically target units within an enemy army, take them out ahead of time, infiltrate. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but that was kind of interesting to see the differences between those two. Now moving around the campaign map here, they're going to start to show us another mechanic, which is going to be raising the dead. We've seen previous videos on that, but here I wanted to break it apart and analyze it. So you have the general recruitment options, which is based off your buildings, and then you can raise the dead here that they say comes from this big recruitment pool, and you can raise these dead. It's a limited pool, but it'll replenish over time, but you can raise these dead forces basically the exact same turn. So it's almost like a mercenary mechanic. There's a limited pool per region, but then there's also, if a big battle takes place, there will be this special icon that appears here, and this is going to be a battle site marker, and essentially it notes who was the victory over, what region is it in, what turn did it take place in, and what were the number of casualties. Based off the number of casualties, that'll add to the region's dead pool. And if there's enough of these corpses to be looted, well, as we'll see here briefly, it allows you to not only raise dead from the low tier units, but you can actually start raising higher tier dead. Now it's going to still be vampire count units. You can't, for instance, raise the dead specific to that force. So for example, if the greenskins had died there, no, you cannot raise greenskin forces. Maybe in a future game they could do that. That would be really cool. But here you're limited to the specific vampire forces. And then here, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the raising the dead mechanic. So they show us another example of okay, you can see some higher tier guys, crypt, ghouls, different cavalry and whatnot. So I wanted to say, okay, hold on. Okay, you can get new units, but what about the prices? What is the difference? Well, on the bottom left, you can see recruitment options. And if you compare that to the two on the right, which is raising the dead, it's actually cheaper to raise the dead, which I thought was a very interesting campaign choice. It's not going to be that much cheaper. Look at the skeletons. It's $270 for recruitment, and 255 for raising the dead. But the thing I like about this is it provides an incentive for you to be going around raising the dead, as opposed to recruiting at your home base. So it's going to be advantageous for you to be scouting around the world, looking for these big piles of corpses and recruiting from them. And you can recruit from them on the fly. The same term, you get those recruits. So that's a very, very powerful game mechanic. And they were talking about here how you could perhaps, kind of be a scavenger, wait for enemy forces, 2 of your enemies to go to war, and then swoop in, raise the dead from their corpse-filled, battlefields, and then go ahead and go to town on both those, armies. So I thought that was a cool mechanic. Over here, they show us a bit of the technology tree. No, not technology tree. This is going to be the skills tree. So you can move your character's skills and progress towards different things. One of them is obviously going to be unlocking the spells, and they have the spell browser here that they've shown previously. I think this is a really great mechanic. And then you can get different upgrades also for the weapons here. I really like this menu. It really very easy to do. You have banners on the bottom right, info that recaps everything on his stats, and then you can equip different pieces of armor, weapon, talismans, enchanted items, and it'll prompt you here, as they say, whether or not you want to remove this from another character who has it. So this is awesome. This is the type of panel that I really, really, really wanted to see. It looks like they're tremendously diving into personalizing your characters, making them individual. And every time I see something new like this in Warhammer, I get that itching for what is it going to look like for the historical titles we see in the future. This is all experimentation, but it'll definitely equate to the historical titles. Then we see here over technology tree, the bestiary allows you to get better beasts, obviously. There is a tech tree specific to getting better zombies and skeletons. And then the one, the Lamians here, is all about kind of diplomacy, growth, vampire corruption, things like that, more campaign level focused. So definitely distinct, mostly going for different buffs, whereas some of the other rosters that we've seen previously unlock units. So it's always cool to see these. They're very lore themed, but I'm a little worried about most of these coming down to just percentage increases here and there. I don't really want the game to be a game of percentages. I was really hoping the technology would be a way to have more, unlock the great swords, or like the great weapons upgrade for unit, or unlock special units. But it seems like they're taking a slightly different tack to be able to upgrade new special units. It's going to be solely in the building chain, so that's just different than some of the games we've seen previously. Then they show us some of the units here, going over the stat line. Basically what they say is, wow, look at this hex rate that has really crappy stats, until you look at some of their special abilities. Physical resistance, 75% of the incoming damage, as long as it's not magical, is reduced. So this just goes to show how varied the different units are going to be, and this has me really, really excited for multiplayer stuff. Using special units, especially for the vampire counts here, for very specific roles. So this is cool stuff. I really like this. These ethereal units have special, they're very weak if a certain unit has, a ability that can hit them. But then if you don't have the right unit, they're going to be almost OP. Same thing with the Terrorgeist here. It has ridiculous armor, ridiculous melee attack. I just wanted to compare it straight up to a couple other units. Comparing it to a unit of Iron Drakes, which has 24 men, it'll take at least 3 Iron Drakes to even come close to a Terrorgeist unit in terms of health. Kuhn the Scarred, who was one of the Greenskin leaders, has kind of close to the same amount of health. He has more armor and more weapon strength, but less charge bonus. So the Terrorgeist here can definitely pack a punch, killing presumably enemy heroes straight up. So this is going to be a very, very fun unit to play with. Although they did say one of its downsides is that it is susceptible to fire attacks. So it seems like fire is going to be one of the main things that takes out the zombies and the vampire counts. So always at all times of the campaign and these different units, you're going to have to be wary of what kills what. So this is going to be huge for multiplayer. Definitely unbalanced. I'm almost 100% guarantee this game is going to be unbalanced at launch, but man, can't wait to see how this plays out. It's definitely going to shake things up. Which was the subject of one of the videos I did previously about the vampire counts, quoting an article where they said, this game is all about upsetting the apple cart, and I think this is what we're seeing more and more of. Anyways, that's about it for the video. I think we've covered just about everything in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos in the future. Peace out.